Hello everybody, I am SocioPsycho, and today we take a look at Quest of Dungeons, created by David Amadar. Now, this is a 16-bit style retro artistic look on it, on a dungeon roguelike game. And we'll go into more of that in a minute. When we go to the options, you have your sound sliders and ability to turn on the effects and whatnot. Graphics is just screen resolutions, and there's a large variation of them, which is nice. It's 16-bit, so if you're expecting some fascinational graphics, you'll be disappointed. The stats hold your personal stats as well as your leaderboard ranking. The fact that this game has a leaderboard is nice, and it gives something for some people to shoot for. Now, when we go to new game, yes, that's fine. You have a choice in between a warrior, a wizard, an assassin, and a shaman. They all play slightly different, and I found myself personally with the archer, the assassin, being the most fun for me. Now you have easy, normal, and hard, and if you're not playing it on hard, then you will be easily disappointed, because while this game has 3 difficulty settings, it is not hard at all. This game is very easy, and it really has no increase or progressional difficulty as the game goes forward. The fact that I can fall asleep on the hardest setting or be bored on the hardest setting is just sad. It's not a difficult game at all, and the fact that it has a permadeath is really nothing to even worry about, because the game is easy. The first level and the first 2 experienced character levels are the hardest part of the game, and even that is not that difficult. There was, in my last playthrough, I'm using a mixture of the magic abilities and my gear. I was 2-shotting or 3-shotting bosses. Death was never an issue. But let's go into what the game offers in a UI interface. Now, in the top left corner, you have your health if you are a mage, or shaman, you'd have also your mana bar there. Down below, you have your inventory, which all key bindings are representative to what you will know in previous games, which is nice. Even though there's not a way to rebind your keys, they are mapped out perfectly that you shouldn't have an issue. Now, you have a journal in the game, and on each level there are certain little stone monsters that will give you a quest. These quests really aren't anything that progresses the story in any fashion, or do they even explain why you're doing it or anything else. The story in this game is pretty absent, and when I first started the game and it had that little first cutscene, it actually made me excited to play the game, but that was the only story they had into it. The world is in peril because some villain, and there's 4 heroes that come together, but only one of them is going to go into this dungeon and the other ones just laugh at them. The story doesn't progress past that, and it actually abandons it pretty much altogether, outside of the fact that you fight that evil villain at the end, which he himself is quite easy to face. So the story, if you're hoping for a story in this game to even really progress you through it, you'll be disappointed. Which is a shame that they didn't keep with the humorous story, because the lack of it makes the game very dry and drawn out in the times where they could have monologue that would make it more entertaining. Now, you also have the map, and I would like to point out that every floor, every game is randomly generated, so you can have a different layout each time. While I suggest that is always a good thing to do, especially for these types of games, the fact that this game has many problems that we'll go into, even randomly regenerated content, is not enough to save this game from being dull. So what exactly is this? Well, I said it's a roguelike. This is your character, obviously, and you can see as I'm moving throughout the map quite easily. You can destroy some of these structures, and you gain items as you destroy. Now, the combat is turn-based, and because it's turn-based, the fact that it's a roguelike really doesn't matter, because all you need to take care of is the fact of what your health is at, if you have health potions in your bag, and how many enemies you are allowed to surround you. If you run in the middle of a room, there is a chance, especially if you're playing as an archer, that you'll get surrounded, and you could potentially die if you don't know what you're doing and you're level 1. but the game is not difficult. And why I picked the archer, why I tried the warrior, I tried the shaman, I tried the mage, and I picked the archer because it was the weakest perceptible to damage, forcing me to play as best as I could, not to get hit, not to get damaged. But even taking the weakest character physically, by the end of the game, I was just 1 or 2 shotting everything. And when it came down to the final boss, I just put 4 arrows into him and he died. Now, why the game is not really worth your time is a few reasons. Throughout the entire level, you will gain money, as you've been seeing. You collect items and you pick items up. And this is perfect. It ran right into a shopkeeper. So as you go and continue to pick up money, in my last playthrough, at the end of there's 7 levels in the entire game. By the time I was level 7, I had 800,000 coins. 800,000 coins, and the gear that the shopkeepers would want to sell to me was weak, cheap garbage. There was no reason to the gear system or even the loot system in this game. If you gather up all the loot and you sell it, you gain nothing. There's nothing to buy that's actually worth it. Oh, these pants might upgrade me by 0.8% protection ratings. Okay, why bother? You'll just find a drop that'll be better anyways. The loot and the shopkeepers are a feature which tries to pull you in if you're somebody who gets obsessive or has an OCD complex about trying to complete each level, and clear out as much as possible. Like, oh, I have to clean up all the loot, I have to kill all the enemies, I have to sell all the gear. And that's fine and all, but you don't get rewarded for that. You don't even have anything to purchase afterwards. There's nothing that you can gain from the merchants. Then there's no reason to waste your time collecting and selling all the loot. The game is very simplistic, and even the loot mechanics in its own is not made for mass selling, so you have to individually click on the items and move it down to sell. Now, there is a key system in this game, which is actually kind of refreshing to see, and falls sort of more to roguelike games to have key systems in it. See, I didn't even need to use health or potions or anything else. I watched my health, I made a judgment call. I said I could hit him and kill him, or he could kill me, but I made a judgment call, and I was able to hit him, and he wasn't able to kill me, and I leveled up and healed myself completely. Health items in this game are next to not important. If you play smart, there's really no need to even use them. Now, this goes into the loot, like I was saying, with the chest. I got all of this from the chest. So if I continue to go through the map and I get upgrades through gear drops, item drops, which is nice, then what's the point of merchants? Now, I will give this game props in an area that it does deserve, and that's the fact that the bosses actually drop loot that you can use 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, bosses do drop items which are a upgrade. The problem is that the boss battles are so easy that it doesn't even feel like a boss. It feels more like an elite than a boss. Now, you'll also pick up these Tome of Skills, and this is really where the money comes in, why it's so easy to get so much money later on, because Tomes of Skills will drop off of enemies, which basically allow you to learn spells. So we use this, we learn it. But once you learn the spell, the next book that drops will be of a different spell. And once you have all the spells, books will continue to drop, and you just sell them for like 5,000 gold a piece, and you'll be banking in no time. But there's no point to banking because there's nothing you can buy. Money is worthless in this game. Not only are the merchants' gear that they sell you worthless, but even the gear that you get off of bosses, and in general. And why I say that is, yes, you will upgrade your skills to continue. It does give you a little bonus to your power and capability. Once you beat the game, there is no replay. There is no play plus. There is no taking your character through again at a harder setting, and everything that you've spent time building, every piece of gear that you found, everything that you have tried to implement on your character has been for nothing. Your character is over, and that's it. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth as to the fact that you feel unaccomplished. It's like, yay, I completed the game, and I have nothing to show for it. I have no sense of appreciation, nor do I have any replayability options. All I have is a silly achievement that says I beat the game. Yay! So really the main issue of this game, and you may think, well, why are you hating on this game so much? And the fact is, I'm not hating on the game. The mechanics of the game make it so easy, even on the hardest setting, that it's boring. It's as simple as that. The game is boring. It's way too easy, and when you have something that is way too easy, it's a simple failure of the game and the mechanics upon how it reacts. Really, all you have to do is just peek inside to a room, see if there are enemies, take out the enemies in a integral fashion, and you won't die. Like I said, health kits are rarely of any importance or use. So there's also issues with keys. Now, the keys in the game that you get that open up doors, you'll have a multitude of different keys. You'll have bronze keys, you'll have gem keys, simple keys, skull keys. There's like 5 or 6 different key variations, you get my point. But they don't stack, so half your inventory can be taken up with keys. And you say, well, what does that matter, because the loot doesn't matter anyways? And it's more of an annoyance than anything else. Your inventory slot is very small, and that for people who enjoy your items, that can be really annoying. So there's also an issue in the movements and how the combat plays out. If you enter a room you've already cleared, so say we've already been to this room over here. If we enter this room, and there's a mage in this room, as soon as he sees us, he will attack us, but we cannot stop moving. So we'll move all the way from inside the room up over to here, and he will attack us every single turn, and he will not allow us to move. This sort of thing is common. I have not died from it, but it has been an annoyance. The combat is not reactive for a turn-based game, and it does not actually prioritize the correct features. As well as when you're talking about the shaman has an ability to summon a companion, a little swords fighter, and he is so very annoying. He will get in your way like there is no tomorrow. Okay, so here we are, and we look more into the actual spells on a shaman. Every class has its own spells, and so when you pick up a book, you have your own unique spells to that class. When it comes down to the summon ability, where the spells, you sort through your spells, even with or without the descriptions, and we summon together. Now, the way spells work is because it's turn-based, and every tile you move is one turn. So if you look here, 348, that's how long before you're able to reuse the ability. Every time I move, it moves swift. But the problem with the summons, like I was saying, is the fact that he always gets in the way. And you can also hit him as well, which is annoying. You accidentally run into him and you could end up killing him. So say I want to go this way, and things like that happen. And you end up competing to try to get into a middle area. Or if he gets in front of a doorway, it's just I can't move backwards now, so I have to move forward. The AI in the companion option is not all that smart. As well, when it comes to spells, it would be far easier if there was a action bar on the bottom listed below. Think of a number 1 through 10, allowing you to put your spells in that area where you want to, therefore not having to continuously swap in between. It's just about convenience at that point. When I really think about what this game has to offer, sadly enough to say the best quality of this game is the music. The music keeps tempo throughout the entire game and during the boss fights. When it changes up, when you talk to the shopkeepers, it's locationally localized, and it does a damn good job of keeping the atmosphere up. Unfortunately, the rest of the game falls way below par, and I can't even recommend this game with as many issues as it has, leading into a game which really doesn't respect your time. There are far better things out there you could play, and it's a shame to have to say that because there are good qualities about this game, such as the concept, the spells, how they've integrated different spells for each class, and the spells themselves, are fine. The issue is you don't get to really express a good quality of the spells because either the AI and the summoning companions are stupid, or you can just put a boss to sleep or put him into fear and terror, and so he can never move out, or just gain, so much power and strength that you just one-shot, two-shot bosses later on. It really all comes down to difficulty in a game like this, along with a few minor things about gear. It really comes down to the fact that the gear is unimportant and it does not really scale in any fashion impressively, nor do you feel that anything you do is actually of worth value. It does not prolong you in a story fashion of even humorous nature, and it gets dull and dry after you complete each level, upon which the mission itself and the game itself is so easy that it becomes dull and boring, and the fact there is no replayability. Once you complete the mission, your character is gone and you must start anew. There is no replayability, even though the levels randomly regenerate. The foundational mechanics of the game are not strong enough to make this entertaining enough for your time. Being a simplistic game is perfectly fine, but not having an element of depth in your simplicity, or even danger and high pace consequences where you could lose, make this one of the weaker roguelike games, and I'm sorry to say that it is not worth your time or your money. Thank you everybody for watching. I have been SocioPsycho. I'll see you next time.